Hi, welcome to Thursday and day 3 of Fall in Love with Your Life. We are going to talk today about your body, your environment, the things that go on in this physical world. As I've said before, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And say hello to my very special guest, Valerie Larson. Hi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I'm so loving discovering this new technology and making new friends and being able to benefit from the expertise of people like yourself who have done so much study. And, I consider myself to be very much on top of this topic and very well informed and paying close attention to what I put in my body, what I put on my pets, what I allow in my home. And yet, in a conversation with you, I discovered so many things that were able to slip past me. So no matter how diligent you are, you can still be even better educated. So thank you for being here today to educate me and educate our listeners and give us a leg up on being healthy in our bodies and happy in our bodies. So let's just start right off. What are a couple of things that we can do, any of us can do right now to begin to educate ourselves on the products that we use? Personal products, home products, anything. Start wherever you like.
I do a lot of speaking on this topic, which is very important to me. I feel like just to start anywhere and to start to learn how to read the back of your labels is the best first way to educate yourself. Okay. So I should have brought a label over so you could see, but all mine are clean. So so what happens is on the front of a product it could be shampoo, it could be a lotion, it could be what you're washing your dishes with. Mm-hmm. The front of that product can say almost anything according to the FDA regulations in this country. So learning how to read the back of the label is where our answer is, and educating each other organically is the best way to do that. So I have I'll do classes on that and little workshops online, and I also speak in a lot of places, and I love to be able to speak to women's groups and also to cancer survivors or more people going through it too. I really think that that's a great avenue as being a cancer survivor myself. So kind of figuring out how to read the back of that label. And I have a short list, I call it a short list, because there are currently 80,000 chemicals in commerce, and only 300 of them have been tested. The FDA does not have the ability to actually test every single thing. And the way the 1970s Chemical Policy Act was written, it was written so that it protects big business. The 5 big conglomerates are protected, as opposed to Europe, where they have to, when you produce a product in Europe, you must prove that it will not harm the people in the countries. Whereas here, it is up to the FDA to actually prove that the product has harmful things. The FDA doesn't have time or money or resources to do that. There's just too much. So it's unfortunate that that's the way that 1970s Chemical Policy Act got written for our country, but it passed through. And so we all know it's all about. So that's one of those things I love to do, is make sure that people get a little more educated. So I do have something that I hand out, which is my little "Did you know?" And what I like about this little guy tells everybody a lot of the statistics that I share. But on the inside of it, it has a list there, which I know the light's flaring it a little, has a list there that goes down of the top things you should never read on the back of your product label. So I think this is a really handy tool, and I'm at organic farms, and I'll say, take this home and put it on your fridge and go look at some of your stuff. Because I get so excited, and so I want to educate so much that I'm giving these out all the time. I just pay for containers of them and give them out all the time. So I love that, and I can go over a couple of those actual words that you should be looking for if you would be interested in hearing of just a couple.
Yeah, that's the thing that just popped in my head as well. So we think
Yeah.
words like organic or natural, this means that it's suddenly good for us. And so, yeah, I'm very interested to hear you expand on that.
So the word organic can be used on the front of your label, and legally that is allowed. It cannot say USDA organic certified. That stamp is what shows it had to go through a lot of the regulations and process for you to, for any company to be able to get that little, just for an example, I don't know, you might not be able to see it. Everyone knows the green and colored stamp that comes from the USDA. So you can actually put that word on the front and just say organic so that the public thinks, oh, this is great. Look, I just got this and it says it's organic and pure, 99% pure. But the thing is as long as the ingredients on the back, as long as they list one actual organic ingredient on the back of that label, they can put that on the front. So that's just education for the public. So there's two words that I think are big, and some people will have heard of these. So triclosan. Triclosan is a registered pesticide with U.S. government. So triclosan is in soaps, it's in toothpaste, it's in, of course, it's the standard item that goes into hand sanitizers. So I use Hands on the Go. It happens to have organic aloe vera, because the facility and the small company I work with, they do have the USDA organic certification stamp. So tea tree oil is 99% naturally antibacterial. So we use that in there, and it has a great smell, and you need very little of it. And I use that whenever I leave any room. And I touch all kinds of things. And that's what I use. And I have to say, luckily, in over 3 years since cancer, I always say, I don't count cancer as really being sick. But anyway, 3 years since I've been out, that's all I've ever used. And knock on wood, I have not been sick. And I'm always around a lot of people.
I want you to expand on that. How do you spell that?
Triclosan.
Uh-huh.
It is, to make sure I get that right, T-R, I'm going to just, because you know that's the one time you'll mess it up. Yes. Triclosan. Okay. Studies show that triclosan interferes with the body's thyroid hormone metabolism, and it is endocrine disruptor. It has been shown to weaken muscle, including the heart. Children exposed to antibacterial compounds at an early age have an increased chance of developing allergies, asthma, and eczema. A 2012 study links it with muscle weakness, including the heart muscle, and it contributes to liver and insulation toxicity.
Okay.
I'm so glad that's not in my book anymore.
I know people who are in love with hand sanitizer, and otherwise, and people who they're very health conscious, but at the same time, so anybody can be misinformed, and anybody can think that they're doing something that is good for their health when that they're really actually harming themselves. And that is such a scary list of symptoms that you just read off. Okay. All right. So now there was a term that you used for those kinds of words on the fronts of labels, organic and all natural, and
greenwashing.
Greenwashing, yes. Beware of greenwashing, and it's advertising. The front of the label is advertising, and you're allowed to exaggerate. You're allowed to. There's almost no rules, like you said, for that. So
it looks pretty. It has leaves. It's got lovely soft colors, and you're like, oh, this looks really good.
Yeah, pictures of fresh fruit. Yeah.
Yeah, pictures of fresh fruit and herbs, and you're thinking, oh, I'm making such a great choice. And trust me, I say this all the time. I am not pointing the finger at anyone. I did it. I used all those things that I had no idea because I thought I was making great choices. I really did. So I've used all those things myself.
I've done it too.
And eliminated them, you know. Here's a couple of ones that are big to eliminate that people don't know. The public isn't educated. So Tom's of Maine, I used to use that toothpaste all the time. It was purchased by Colgate 3 years ago. Burt's Bees has, after Bert passed away, his kids did not want to run the company. They sold it to Clorox. So the point of that,
just because they're now owned by a big corporation, does that necessarily mean that they've changed their formulas?
Well, according to the back of the label that I've read since then, yes. It's much less expensive to use chemicals than it is to continue Bert's dream of what he wanted. So they purchased that front and those big long list of clients who, you know, loyal people who always purchased it because they were making good choices. Well, yeah, when Bert had the company, it ran great. 7 generations just been bought by Unilever.
Okay.
And I have a family member who worked in that company in Vermont. And it, you know, it's sad, but it happens. And so it's up to us all to educate ourselves, because it's not always like they tell us about these $1 billion deals that go down. But that's where, you know, that all comes into, I don't care what the front of the label says anymore. I have to read the back of that label.
Okay. I'm with you there. So tell us what else we are looking for. My kind of rule is if I can't pronounce it and don't have time to Google it, it doesn't get put in my cart, you know?
Exactly. It's actually less expensive to be organic and healthy than people imagine it is, because they think that one product is cost them more, which essentially it will. But the thing is that usually it's much more concentrated, particularly with the Pure Haven Essentials line. Most everything starts with organic aloe vera. You need very, very little of it. And so it goes a long way. If my bottle is shampoo, if I opened it and marked it. When my hair was shorter, as it's been growing out back in, my second round, like my second year in, when my hair was shorter, I marked that bottle. It lasted me 6 months. 6 months and a few days, which means it broke down to only $2.67 a month.
Wow.
Now, probably, you know, for a $15.95 bottle. So now it probably is more like getting closer to 4 months because my hair is longer, but that's fine. I still would rather be safe. So there's a reason why I bring that up. So your skin is your largest organ, as most everyone knows, because people are getting more and more educated. And we absorb 86% of everything we put onto our skin in 20 seconds. That means it passes straight into your bloodstream. So why would you be concerned about that? Well, Dr. Samuel Epstein, head of the Cancer Coalition, says that it's more dangerous to put a product on your body than it is to eat it, because at least your organs will detoxify some of it. Of course, we don't want to eat it, but just saying. I don't want to. So another word, you wanted another word. Here's another one that people are very confused by. And you can Google this and you can look for it in many, many places. It's the word on the back of your labels that says fragrance. Well, fragrance is a loophole. It's an industry trade secret, the word fragrance. And legally, again, companies can hide thousands. They can put hundreds, they could put 2, they could put almost 1,000 endocrine disruptors in underneath that word fragrance. So that's one of the ones you don't want to read on the back. Fragrance, perfume, or parfum. It is not what you smell. They use that particularly to be able to hide extra chemicals and not even have to list them on your label.
Okay, hang on. Why do I care about it? Uh-oh. Somebody else wants your attention.
I know. I was like, oops, I didn't realize I left that there.
What exactly is an endocrine disruptor and why do I care?
Okay. An endocrine disruptor. These toxins and chemicals go into our system and they disrupt our endocrine system. Your body has an endocrine system that regulates everything that goes on. It can affect, actually, I have that. I have like the detailed list here somewhere. So yes, legally hide hundreds of ingredients is called trade secret. More than 75% of products with the word fragrance are legally hiding phthalates. Phthalates are known endocrine disruptors. They are linked to birth defects, breast cancer, diabetes, obesity, autism, ADHD in the first and third trimesters of pregnancy. And that's from the campaign for Safe Cosmetics 2002 Not Too Pretty report. So your endocrine system is really regulating all of your body. So I feel like between what we eat and what's being given to, like, let's just say cows, I'm just going to use that as an example, but it really covers a gamut of all pretty much Americanized food that we're eating. Watch Food Inc. Great movie. I think you can get it free on Netflix. I'm just saying, sit down with the kids and watch Food Inc. and then see what they want to do. But what happens is they go into your system and they're messing it up. So why are we having such a high rate of ADHD now? Why are we having autism has, again, this year, the rates of autism has changed? Why are we having a 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will have cancer in their lifetime? That is an astronomical rate. So I am always concerned about those things, like puberty starts so much sooner, and menopause is it seems much more difficult than our grandmothers went through it, especially for us women, because we use, of course, more products on our skin and our hair and clean with than men do. So I feel like everything has changed. Puberty is happening so much sooner between what's being given to cows and what they're injected with and what they get, and then, God, the universe, whatever you like to believe, however you were produced, we were made to not really be having puberty at 12. Well, there's, something obviously going on in our country. We have the highest rate of cancer in this country. This is out of the entire world, sorry. So we are at 10% of cancer is genetic and 90% is environmental. I am this walking statistic. That's what I am. No one in my family has had cancer like that. At the year and a half before I got cancer, my uncle got brain cancer, and unfortunately, he passed away.
You touched on this part of your story, but I think that I am and our listeners would like to hear more detail, if you're comfortable, as in how these toxins and chemicals and things in your environment resulted in the gift of your cancer. Because if you hadn't had cancer, you wouldn't be out here educating all of us. So we're sorry you went through it, but we're happy that we get to benefit from it. So did you want to share any other details about that?
I'd be happy to. I mean, I speak about my cancer all the time. It doesn't bother me in the least bit. I feel like I, want to walk up to all kinds of people and be like, be careful. So I actually started this journey before I was diagnosed. So when I just read that statistic to you, 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will have cancer in their lifetime, I had started before in 2013. And then I became in contact because I was using Mrs. Myers and thought I was making a great choice. I used 7th generation. I was spending more money for something I thought was great. I had, 2 tubes of Tom's toothpaste in my bathroom because I thought I was making really great choices. And then as I started to learn and get educated myself, I came in touch with this company, Pure Haven Essentials. And that was very important to me. When I learned how to read their labels, they taught me, that's part of the company's mission, is to educate everyone as to how to read the back of their labels. So organically, we can, throughout the country, create a chemical policy change just by educating each other. And a safer environment, a safer home, a safer family, a safer self. That's the whole purpose. So then I started with, starting to educate people, and it was 7 months later that I had pneumonia. At least that's what I thought I had. And so sure enough, when I went through some testing, the doctors, I was having so much trouble breathing. The doctor said to me, here, take this. So you should go get an x-ray. Laura and I sat there in my car right in front of that hospital, and I went, oh, I really need to get back to work. I'll get the x-ray done later. So I delayed my diagnosis by probably 2 or 3 weeks on top of that. And I already was a stage 3 and didn't really realize it. So finally, after I went in and I had no choice, I had run a 5-mile race to raise funds for my local high school. I went into the emergency room, and I can't even tell you, I couldn't get from the door down the hallways. I was totally out of breath. Well, who knew that I had just run, and this side of the right side of your body, you have 3 sections to your lung. Didn't know that. I have so much knowledge now of things I didn't know that I needed to know. I had crushed the middle section. So what had happened was there was a tumor in my chest that had pushed on the diaphragm, crushed that middle section. I still was determined to finish that race, and I did, but I was slower than I was the year before, but that's okay. So then, of course, as we got the x-rays, and they still didn't see it, but they saw the shadowing around my lung. They had to empty the pleura, which sits around your lung. Didn't know that either. And that's what was backing up and had crushed part of my lung. And then, of course, once we finally got me into a CAT scan, the doctor had that wonderful chore of sitting down with me, and he just looked at me very compassionately, put his hand on my knee, and he said, "You don't have pneumonia." I'm like, really? I must have pneumonia. I mean, there's something wrong. And he goes, "Nope, you have cancer." I'm like, oh, yeah, you have the wrong chart and I need to go. That was kind of, your brain just shuts down. Mm-hmm. So my journey, then I had to stay home for almost 7 months in my home, and I couldn't leave because of the heavy dosing of chemo that I had. So my journey just became even more poignant to me. It became such a focus, and it gave me obviously a lot of time when I was awake and not being sick or anything to do even more researching it and digging into it. So it's my passion. I am blessed when people like you say, "I would love to hear more about that," and come on and help educate more people. Even if we just touch one more person who starts to read their label, I feel like I'm doing just what I was left here to do. Did I answer that fully?
Yes, you did. Absolutely. Very much so. Okay, let me have a look here real quick at want to make sure we cover everything that we intended to before we wrap up. Okay, so I very much teach not to be afraid that an environment is hugely important, but what goes on inside your head is important too, and maybe more, because if what's happening in your head is pure, then you're going to make good choices, and it's going to flow on out into your physical existence. But assume that there's somebody listening that has no earthly idea of whether they are hurting themselves with the things that they're allowing into their homes. What is one thing that anybody can do today to start living a life that is pure on the outside with your body?
Okay, so there's definitely easily things to do. So I feel like when most people find out a lot more of that information, they go, "Oh, I just want to go home and throw everything away." And so the first things to do is to really get a little education, but take that step. Take that step and say to yourself, "Okay, this does not look good. I'm going to get rid of it and replace it with something that I know is good." And then another step, and then another step. So I always say, just start on your path. Some people would rather dive in and do a whole bunch, because that's what I did. I just cleared everything out. And here's a little FYI for people who decide they want to do that. Walmart, CVS, Home Goods, Marshalls, Target, they will take back your used items with no receipt, with nothing. If you have stuff and you start to feel passionate about it, trust me, if you can remember where you bought it, I brought back stuff that was 2 years old when I was done. 2 years old when I was done from my treatment. I pulled it all down. I put it on my shelf. I took a picture of it, and I went from store to store. And I said, "I'm returning this because there are toxins and chemicals in there that I was not aware of. And unfortunately, I can't have that in my life or on, at home." I got a whole bunch of gift cards. I think I got $34 and change of gift cards to spend. So I used it on other things and just replace what I wanted to replace in my home. So I would say that's probably the best way to go. I saw you posted my Facebook page. I would love to have people doing that. And again, it's on Facebook. It's or if you just want to stick the words in, it's Pure Haven Essentials by Valerie. And you can message me through there. And I am so happy to send out some information. I'm happy to email you a basic list of things you should start to look for on the back of your labels to educate yourselves and your family. I'm happy to add you to groups. Whatever people need. I have a lot of people who will send me private messages and say, you know, my friend just got diagnosed. What's the best thing? You know, what do they need? How can I support them? Because it's scary, not only for the person that it happened to, it's scary for those people close to them, around them. And I'm always happy to support, you know, in any way possible. So I shared some vital information. What do you think concerns your audience the most?
The thing that's coming to mind right now is if there are there other resources, like if what's coming to mind is the environmental working group. Are there organizations that actually do some of the research and testing that can maybe give us a shortcut to figuring out what's good and what's not?
Yes. I would say there's the cosmetic database. There's a handful of people like me. There are a couple other companies. I'm going to give a little warning here without naming companies and throwing anyone under the bus. But there are a couple of companies that are out there that are, you know, friends of ours might be doing. And unfortunately, they don't disclose all their ingredients. If you don't see a full list of ingredients on the back of a product, please think twice about using that. Because there's a reason why there's not a full ingredient list on the back. So there's a couple of them.
Yeah, this is funny. When Valerie and I first started talking, I have one of the things that's in my home that is not. I know that it's not awesome. It's not organic. It's not pure. But I didn't think it was that bad. Is Dawn dishwashing liquid? I don't mind throwing it under the bus because I pulled it out and looked for ingredients, and there's not a single one. But if you go online and look for them, there's a very, very long list of ingredients in there you had mentioned that your friend says, oh, well, they use it on the little ducks. And I didn't say this to you at the time, but in my head, I'm like, that got me too. I thought somebody was looking out for those birds and they wouldn't let them use Dawn on them if it wasn't good for them. And none of that is true. It's just marketing. And so, yeah, if they won't tell you what's in there, assume that it's something that they don't want you to know, right?
Absolutely. That's why, and that's another reason why, first of all, that is an awesome explanation, because when I ask people, why do you use that? They're like, well, they saved the little duckies. And I go, that's marketing. It's just marketing. That's a brilliant marketing campaign.
Very brilliant.
So thank you for sharing that. That is one of my favorite things. And another thing is so for example, Pure Haven Essentials, somebody else had just mentioned another product to me. And I said, oh, I'm not really familiar with that one. So I went to the website, and then I'm like, well, I want to know, let's see what's in your face wash. Let's see what's in your shampoo. And I went there, there's not a full list. And it's a company I guarantee you've also heard of also, that's in a network marketing. And I actually sent them a message, and I said, why don't you have a full list of ingredients? If you go to the Pure Haven website at any time, their product is listed, the price is listed, and right to the side it says details. Just hit that button. There's an exact list of details. Most everything is vegan and gluten-free.
How can you know if a list is complete or not?
Actually, what they usually say is some of the ingredients may contain. So when you read it, you're like, well, why? Where's the rest of them?
Where's the rest of it? Okay.
There's those couple of good things in there, and then it says, and then I got referred to the consultant. The consultant can give you that full list. I'm like, I don't know. So it shouldn't be that way. Why don't you have full disclosure? So if you don't have full disclosure, I'm not spending my money there, certainly, and I'm not going to let it come into my home.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So, no, we don't want that. We are, yeah, you are not Ed Bracy. Okay, Valerie, I'm going to put this up here one more time. Pure Haven Essentials by Valerie.
That's my Facebook page.
Yeah, and this can be her funnel for your initial contact point. Go find her there, and then she will put you in a group that's good for you. Share whatever information it is that you need that will help you in this part of your life. And then, of course, you can go to Be Happy to the first Facebook page. And I'm going to, once we're finished here, I'll fill in the description with all of these links so that you can just click on them and go to them. But we really want to be able to, there are two ways to solve a paradigm in your life. All of us are operating according to patterns that we have developed over decades and decades of things that have happened to us, things we've observed, things that have been taught to us that are not necessarily true. And in order to change the way that we think, there's two ways to do that. One is something big, a cancer diagnosis, a threat to your life, something giant, a huge heartbreak can help you change your paradigm. We don't obviously want to do that. We don't want to go that route. The other way is through a system of support and structure so that you are each and every day learning a new way of thinking, learning to substitute the things that you say that don't serve you with things that do serve you. And so we've created a whole lot of different avenues for you to go down based on where you are on your path. So there is a brand new group that we've created called the Be Happy First Together group, where you can go there for free and meet with like-minded people. There's coaches in there all the time. So you can get 24/7 access to a coach and bring your questions and bring your concerns and share your experiences there. And that's going to be a great community. You can sign up for a free strategy session. That's a $250 value. And that's when I work with you one-on-one and show you, shine a light on where your life is now. What are you wishing for more of? What are you wishing you didn't have at all? And then we use that information to paint a picture of the life that you would really, really love. And then we look at the gap between the two and figure out what steps you can take that will get you moving in that direction. So you can sign up for that, or if you are ready to just jump in and do a 6-month class, you can sign up for our Life Mastery class that starts in July, and the sign up for that ends on Monday. So there's not much time. I've put aside a lot of hours for the rest of the weekend, over the weekend, in order to do strategy sessions in preparation for that class. So don't wait, look into this and see how you're feeling about your growth and really working and building into your potential and being the best version of yourself. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. Valerie, I'm so grateful to you for being here with us and sharing your expertise and guidance and the promise of ongoing help.
I'm so grateful and blessed that you asked me. I really appreciate it.
It's awesome, and we are going to stay in close touch, and I'm going to have a lot. I have not had a chance to buy my Pure Haven products, but I am so thrilled to know that a great deal of the products that I buy and use, I can get in one place and already know that my good friend Valerie has done the research, that the company's transparent, that so I don't have to research each and every little product because I can have faith in the company as a whole. So
that's very time consuming.
Yeah, it really is. So thank you for doing that for us.
No problem. I was not for 6 months. I could do it.
All right. We will see you all same time, same place tomorrow, when I'm not sure who my mystery guest still is going to be tomorrow, but we're going to wrap all of this up and put a bow on it for your spirit, your body, and your heart. Spirit, heart, body, the Holy Trinity of an amazing life. Be back here tomorrow at noon. Thanks, Valerie. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.